200 million hearts and souls unite. One nation, one team, one Nigeria. We win, we move. Doing supports Nigeria football for life. What are we doing today? It's in our faces. It's in every beating heart. It's in every past pain. And every present glory. Our confidence is not by accident. We are this way because we feel, we believe. When 200 million hearts and souls unite. One nation, one team, one Nigeria. We win, we move. Doing supports Nigeria football for life. What are we doing today?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us at the rooftop. We appreciate your attention as we go through a few guidelines. Please take a moment to set your mobile phone on silent mode. And remember to step outside before taking any calls. For your comfort and safety, there is no smoking in this hall. Please use designated smoking areas. Please keep your face mask on at all times, except to eat or drink. Disposable face masks and hand sanitizers are available for use. Speak with one of our hosts for support. Please maintain a safe social distance. A few doors have been left open to allow for ventilation. Emergency medical support is in place, and our hosts are on hand to assist as needed. In the unlikely event of a fire, please do not panic. Sound the alarm and evacuate the building using the staircase. Do not use the lift. All exits are clearly marked with an exit sign. You will be led to a muster point on the ground floor where further instructions will be given. Please do not take risks or return to the building for any reason until authorized to do so. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask one of our hosts And please report any incidents to the MTN control room at 0803 200 1630. On behalf of everyone at MTN Nigeria, we want to thank you for your time and attention. Please stay safe and have a lovely day.
Please rise for the national anthem.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the time by my own clock is 11 o'clock. It is with great pleasure that I welcome you to the annual general meeting of our company, MTN Nigeria Communications PLC. I express my thanks to all persons present for the sacrifice you've made in attending this meeting, notwithstanding the COVID-19 pandemic. I also express my gratitude to our regulators for the special dispensation granted our company to convene this meeting. As you may know, physical attendance at this meeting has been limited in compliance with the safety measures imposed by the federal government of Nigeria and the National Center for Disease Control, particularly the restriction on gatherings due to the prevailing pandemic. We have made provisions for virtual access and streaming services to ensure that shareholders and directors who are unable to be physically present also participate at this meeting. The registrar has circulated the link to shareholders who have provided email addresses. The link can also be found on our website. The quorum required by Article 15 of the company's Articles of Association is shareholders holding 75% of the shareholding of the company present in person or by proxy, or if a shareholder is a company duly represented. I will request that the registrar presents the proxy report. Representatives of the registrar, please. Is Bukola here?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the High Table, and esteemed shareholders. My name is Bukola James Cole, and I represent Coronation Registrars Limited, Registrar to MTN Nigerian Communications PLC. We have in attendance 16 shareholders holding 455,090 shares, representing 0.02%, and we have 520 proxies holding 16,779,951,476 units and representing 82.19 shares. With this information, we hereby confirm that the quorum has been duly formed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Bukola James Cole. This meeting is therefore duly convened and properly constituted. Accordingly, I hereby declare the meeting open. May I ask our shareholder, Boniface, to please say the opening prayer. There's a microphone right there.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you, omnipotent, omniscient God, who have made it possible for us to convert this morning to discuss the affair for MTN Communication Nigerian PLC. Lord, we have come to this meeting to deliberate for the way forward of this great company that have done well for Nigeria and Africa in general. Lord, we commit the chairman into your hand. It's a vessel that we must have to use this morning to preside over this meeting. And all the directors will commit them to your hand. People here present, all the stakeholders, the staff of this great company will commit them to your hand. The Lord, as they work and beg for a good cake, may you continue to uphold them and strengthen them and empower them in their every endeavor so that we continue to have big cake to share in the mighty name of Jesus. Lord, we pray for the health of each and every one, that as we preside over this meeting, you will go with us smoothly and this meeting shall end well. And we all depart here in peace to the glory and honor of your name. These are many are through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Okezie, for that prayer. Before proceeding to the formal aspect of this meeting, I wish to inform you, our esteemed shareholders, that the financial statements of the year ended 31st December 2021, as well as the notice of the annual general meeting, were issued within regulatory timelines. The notice was published in the Sunday Sun and the Guardian newspapers on Monday, 29th March 2022. The annual report was dispatched within regulatory timelines. The electronic version of the report was also circulated via email to shareholders who provided their email addresses to the company registrar. It was also made available online for viewing and can be downloaded from our website at www.mtnonline.com. I wish to introduce respectfully members of our company's board of directors. The biographical details of all the directors can be found on pages 79 to 86 of the annual report. On my immediate right is Mr. Carl Toriola, Managing Director, CEO. Next to him is Mr. Modupe Kadri, Executive Director and CFO. Next to him is Dr. Mobola Johnson, Non-Executive Director. Next is Mr. M.K. Ahmad, Independent Non-Executive Director. Then to my right, at the extreme left is Mr. Jens Scholz-Bockham, Non-Executive Director. Next to him is Mr. Andrea Lee, Non-Executive Director. And then Mr. Abubakar Mahmood, SAN, Non-Executive Director. I also have with us here our former CEO, Mr. Freddy Mullman, who is sitting over there, Non-Executive Director. Some others are joining the meeting virtually. That will include Mr. Michael Ajuku. It's on the screen. Mr. Ridwan Gesang, Independent Non-Executive Director. Mr. Raf Mupita, Non-Executive Director and Group CEO. Mrs. Ifweko Omoigui Okaru, Non-Executive Director. One of the directors, Ms. Solo Molefe, is Non-Executive Director, but she's unable to join us even virtually. I am Dr. Ernest Ndukwe, the Chairman of the company. To my left is Mrs. Uto Ukpana, our Company Secretary. We also have in the room shareholder representatives in the Statutory Audit Committee that are also present with us. The Chairman, Mr. Oye Hassan Odukale, Colonel Ayegbeni Peters, Member, Mr. Nona Awo, Member, the firm of Ernst & Young, EY, our external auditor, is represented by Mr. Fumi Ogunlowo. Our registrar, Corona Registrars Limited, is represented by Mrs. Bukola James Cole. The firm of KPMG Advisory Services, our independent consultant on board appraisal, is represented by Mr. Amadi. We also have in attendance representatives of the Nigerian Communications Commission, the Securities and Exchange Commission, and the Nigerian Exchange Regulation Limited. The NCC is represented by Mrs. Yetunde Akinloye, Director, Policy, Competition and Economic Analysis. Security and Exchange, represented by Mr. Achille John, Head of Operations, Lagos. And Nigerian Exchange Regulation Limited, Mr. Goldstein Iwenekai, Head of Listing. The Corporate Affairs Commission had indicated that they would follow the proceedings virtually. Please be informed that the Register of Directors' shareholdings is available for inspection during the meeting in compliance with the provisions of Section 301 of CAMA. The register of attendance at the meetings of the board during the period under review is available for inspection in accordance with Section 284, subsection 2 of CAMA. The record of attendance of directors at meetings can be found on pages 90, 94, to 102 of the annual report. I also wish to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Dennis Okoro of the MTN Foundation, who is also a shareholder himself. Distinguished shareholders, I now call on the Company Secretary to read the notice of the meeting.
Thank you, Chairman, sir. The notice of the Annual General Meeting. Notice is hereby given that the Annual General Meeting of MTN Nigeria Communications PLC, the company, will be held on Thursday, 28th of April, 2022, at the Rooftop Event Hall, MTN Plaza, Falomo, Ikoyi, Lagos, at 11 o'clock to transact the following business. A, ordinary business. 1, to lay before the members of the company the audited financial statements of the company for the financial year ended 31st December 2021, and the reports of the directors, auditors, and the audit committee thereon. 2, to declare a dividend. 3, to re-elect the following directors retiring by rotation. 3.1, Mr. Mohammed K. Ahmad, OON. 3.2, Mr. Andrew Ali. 3.3, Mr. Michael Ajuku. 3.4, Dr. Mobola Johnson. And 3.5, Mr. Abubakar B. Mahmoud, SAN, OON. 4, to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors of the company. 5, to disclose the remuneration of managers of the company. 6, to elect members of the statutory audit committee. B, special business. 7, to consider and, if thought fit, to pass the following as an ordinary resolution of the company: that a general mandate be given to the company to enter into recurrent transactions with related parties for the company's day-to-day operations, including the procurement of goods and services, on normal commercial terms in compliance with the Nigerian Exchange Limited rules governing transactions with related parties or interested persons. Proxy. A member entitled to attend and vote at the annual general meeting is entitled to attend and appoint a proxy from the proxy stated in the notice to attend and vote in his or her stead. For the appointment to be valid, the executed proxy forms must be deposited with the Office of the Registrar, Coronation Registrars Limited, 9 Amadu Ojikutu Street off Adeola Odeku Street, Victoria Island, Lagos, or via email to the email address provided, not less than 48 hours before the time fixed for the meeting. A blank proxy form is attached to the annual report. The notice is dated the 25th day of March 2022 by order of the board, signed by me, Uto Upana, Company Secretary. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Upana. As stated earlier, owing to the guidelines on mass gatherings, the number of persons present at this venue is limited. We have received proxy forms from our shareholders for the purpose of this meeting, in accordance with the guidelines issued by the Corporate Affairs Commission and the circular issued by the Nigerian Exchange Regulation Limited as regards the conduct of annual general meetings during the period of COVID-19 pandemic. Voting on items on the agenda at this meeting will therefore be by poll, except for item 5. I will therefore request anyone present and asking questions, making comments, or seconding motions should speak clearly through the microphone and commence by stating the person's name in full. I'm holding up the signed copy of the report and the financial statement, and it hereby laid down on the table in front of me. We now proceed with item 1 on the agenda, which is to receive the audited financial statements for the year ended December 31, 2021, and the reports of the directors, auditors, and the audit committee thereon. I now call on Mr. Fumi Ogunlowo of Ernst & Young to present the auditor's report of the financial statements of the company.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, distinguished members of the Board of Directors, and esteemed shareholders. The auditor's report is on page 118 of the financial statement. Before I proceed, may I ask for the permission of the chairman to allow me to read a summarized version of the auditor's report?
Yes, please proceed.
Thank you, sir. Sorry, sir. Sorry, apologies, sir. Okay, sir. Is the permission granted, sir? Go ahead. Thank you. All right. The independent auditor's report to the members of MTN Nigeria Communications PLC. Report on the audit of the consolidated and separate financial statements. Opinion. We have audited the consolidated and separate financial statements of MTN Nigeria Communications PLC, the company, and its subsidiaries, together, the group, which comprise the consolidated and separate statement of financial position as at 31st December 2021, and the consolidated and separate statement of profit or loss, the consolidated and separate statements of other comprehensive income, the consolidated and separate statement of changes in equity, and consolidated and separate statement of cash flows for the year that ended, and notes to the consolidated and separate financial statements, including a summary of significant accounting policies. In our opinion, the accompanying consolidated and separate financial statements give a true and fair view of the consolidated and separate financial position of the group and the company as at 31st December 2021, and its consolidated and separate financial performance and consolidated and separate cash flows for the year that ended in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards, the provisions of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, and in compliance with the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Act No. 6 of 2011. Basis of opinion. We conducted an audit in accordance with international standards on auditing. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the consolidated and separate financial statements section of our report. We are independent of the group and the company in accordance with the International Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, including International Independent Standards, ISBA Code. Together with the ethical requirements that are relevant to our audit of the consolidated and separate financial statements of Nigeria, and we have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with these requirements and ISBA Code. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. I will proceed to the concluding page. That's page 121. Reports on other legal and regulatory requirements. In accordance with the requirement of the 5th schedule of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, we confirm that, 1, we have obtained all the information and explanations which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purpose of the audit. 2, in our opinion, proper books of account have been kept by the group and the company, insofar as it appears from our examination of those books. 3, the consolidated and separate statement of financial position, the consolidated and separate statement of profit or loss, and the consolidated and separate statement of other comprehensive income are in agreement with the books of accounts. And in our opinion, the consolidated and separate financial statements have been prepared in accordance with the provisions of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, so as to give a true and fair view of the state of affairs and the financial performance of the company and its subsidiary. Signed by myself, Funmi Ogunlowo, on behalf of Ernst & Young, and dated 28th of January 2022. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ogunlowo. I would now like to invite Mr. Oye Hassan Odukale, the chairman of the Statutory Committee, Audit Committee, to read the Audit Committee's report, which can be found on page 116 of the annual report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, shareholders. Good morning, officers of the company and directors of the company. Okay. To the members of MTN Nigerian Communication PLC, In accordance with the provision of Section 404, subsection 7 of the Company and Allied Matters Act, CAMA 2020, the members of the Audit Committee of MTN Nigeria Limited PLC hereby reports as follows. We have exercised our statutory functions under Section 404(7) of the Company and Allied Matters Act 2020 and acknowledge the cooperation of management and staff in the conduct of these responsibilities. We are of the opinion that the accounting and reporting guidelines of the group are in accordance with the legal requirements and agreed ethical practices. The scope and planning of both the external and internal audits for the year 31st December 2020 were satisfactory and reinforced the group internal audit control systems. We have considered the external auditor's management letter for the year, and we are satisfied with management's responses to the external auditor's recommendations, and management has taken appropriate steps to address the issues raised by the auditors. The external auditors confirmed they have received necessary cooperation from management in course of their duties and the scope of their work, and not restricted in any way. On behalf of the Statutory Audit Committee, my name is Hoye Hassan Odukale. I'm the chairman. We have other members, Mr. Noah Awo, who is a member. Colonel Haigemi Peters, the member. Mr. Ridwal Gassat, he's on the screen, is a member. And Mrs. Ifeko Omogwe Okuru. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hassan Odukale. Distinguished shareholders, with your permission, the Directors' Report, which can be found on pages 110 to 114 of the annual report, will be taken as read. Thank you very much. At this point, we will be pleased to take questions if there are any. There are microphones on the two sides of the aisle. Yes, Mr. Boniface Okeze.
The chairman of MTN, Nigerian Communication PLC, directors of our great company, fellow distinguished shareholders here present this morning. Good morning. My name is Okezia Boniface, the national chairman, Progressive Shareholders Association of Nigeria. Mr. Chairman, MTN AGM is almost a year of celebration. The last few years, the shareholders have also bought the stocks and start attending meetings. But COVID have limited us. Today we are fewer in this big hall that were not rented today, our own making, our own hall, owned by us. That also have saved us money. We didn't go to hotel to do this meeting. I want to commend the management, the board, for having such an edifice to host such a meeting. This place can even take about hundreds to attend the AGM in a normal meeting. Mr. Chairman, the restrictions have also been lifted. So the company should not be hiding under the COVID. They should open the hall, allow the owners of the meeting to attend the AGM. That's how it should be. A lot of companies from henceforth, have make it open now for the shareholder. Is their meeting to come attend their meeting and to celebrate the board, management, and entire workforce of that company. Those who have performed very well, they will come and applaud them and celebrate them, and which MTN also have done in terms of dividend payout. So we should come here and applaud them and thank the workforce for what they have done for us. Not because politicians goes in droves. Nobody restrain them, so they can't tell us how we should meet. The church have opened, the mosque had opened. They goes in thousands and worship and do other things, Nobody have contracted COVID among them. The market also have opened. They come in droves. It's not meeting that we now go to CAC and they be restricting this kind of things, I think going forward, next year, the hall should be thrown open, even if we are coming here. But this place is good for AGM, and I want to recommend that we should remain here and do our AGM. And save cost, because a lot of costs have been cured today in running the company day to day. We pay a lot of charges there and there. You contributed a lot, in which I said here last year. It's still coming up. No respite for the company. There's nothing government is doing. They only ask him, Oliver Twist, give them more. But the owners of the seed are not getting much. Mr. Chairman, at ending of 14 naira something, we pay 13 naira 12 kobo. Which is a good one for us. That means the company have a policy of dividend payout. You must pay out you earn to the shareholders. Notwithstanding that the number of shareholders also grown over the year, during the year, course of the year, as a result of the public offer we sold last year, which also was the campaign front to persuade Nigerians to come and invest and be part of the owner of this business. Since they are burning their credit card or the cost, they must also be a participant of owners of the company, so that it will justify that whatever you spend, you get it back by way of dividend. And Nigerians listened to that clarion call. They came in drove and participated, and it was a full subscribed offer. I want to commend the MD and his management team that went all around to campaign, and it was a success. A round of applause to them. Mr. Chairman, that was a sign of confidence, a vote of confidence passed on this board and the management. They are doing well. If they are not been doing well, nobody will buy, because that was the last or the first since the economy meltdown. Not talk about COVID. There was no public offer at all in stock exchange. Where this market, but MTN opened the road. But up to today, after the MTN, no company have even come forward to do IPO or right issue. Few of them are coming. But I want to also enjoin another company to emulate MTN, who defied the odds to come to the market at that time, and it was fully subscribed. And one other company that also did last year, even the money were returned over subscription. So I don't know why Nigerians are wasting, the companies are staying back in borrowing from the bank. The capital markets still remain the avenue to source cheap fund to do business. Even that the SEC have been increasing fees all these days, it's no longer any cheap, because they are competing with operators. As well as NCC is competing with the MTNs and other telecommunication provider. They are competing with them. That's what's going on. We don't have regulatory. Everything have collapsed from 1 to Z, everything have collapsed. You're on your own. I want to commend MTN for still keeping faith with Nigerians in business we are doing. Mr. Chairman, having said that, I want also that if you look at the telecommunication provider today, we're the bigger number one. As far as this market is concerned, we are number one. But look at our price equity appreciation and compare with their peers. We are not there. That means the market operators have already valued our equities. It's undervalued, Mr. Chairman. What if a computer about trading 1,000 something, Is it because we are not paying dividend that people will say, yeah, this stock is worth of the price of today? If in terms of size of balance sheet, we are number one. We are stronger than they. Why is their price so high? And our ask is just remaining at 200 and something. Mr. Chairman, something needs to be done on our price mechanism. And I know that Chairman of NGS is sitting here on the board today. So we need to do justice with our price. Where we are today is not where anything ought to be. If you put into consideration what our balance sheet size, and what we have been doing in providing services to telecom users. That is not where MTN the price should be trading. If our 1,000 naira is even undervalued, it's not underestimated, Mr. Chairman. I want to say that our price needs to move up there. Where they are rated us is not where we are today. So, Mr. Chairman, you have done very well. If you look at page 90 to 103 on corporate governance, apart from few those who are appointed late into the company, the board, you have done excellent. All the board directors are attending their meeting. All the subcommittees are attending their meetings, including the audit committees. Every meeting have attended to formulate policy. This is what makes company to grow. And when you are sent from attending all these board committees and attending all other subcommittees, you make a good policy for the management to drive their business do today. I want to commend you for what you have been doing and the board members. No one has been found wanting in that direction. But, Mr. Chairman, I'm also worried in terms of corporate social responsibilities that the company is doing today. If you look at page 26 of this account, Mr. Chairman, because there's need to go back to the society. When you were introducing, that's the, last year I didn't see the man here, the foundation member of MTN Foundation. That means every corporate social responsibility would donate 1% of profit before tax goes there. How are these being channeled to other members of the society, to the communities? How are they being channeled? Are they need to apply for them to be looked at? Because if every communities or individual that have need that come to the company to submit proposal to you, and you direct now to go to the foundation, how are the foundation handling this case that this thing go around to every Nigerian that are patronizing MTN? Mr. Chairman, he has spent a lot on this page 26 since his section. Mr. Chairman, look at creating share value, paid over 3.5 trillion in direct and indirect taxes to government. That's government too. Declare and paid over 2.5 trillion dividend to Nigerians who have bought shares in this company. Over 4.4 trillion earned for suppliers. About 860 billion paid to 8-time retailers. Over 185 billion earned by value-added service providers. Mr. Chairman, 2,700 local suppliers empowered. And how I'm looking at now, Mr. Chairman, for other communities, you spend over 23.something billion in social corporate investments. That's what you spent so far to the other community through the MTN foundations. And I want to appeal to them, since the chairman is here, I have a community. Likewise, other shareholders here. How do we reach out to them to help our communities to provide this borehole? I'm coming, Mr. Chairman, on the picture you provided here. We see some of the boreholes. We need to also, we are going to be writing them to demand, since from the shareholders' money that will accrue to us to pay 50 naira dividend, or 500 naira dividend, or 1,000 dividend, and we are pushing out such a portion to the foundation. We must also demand to give us for urgent verifications where those boreholes are sited and where those schools have been renovated, so that we can also speak to public that MTN is doing very well to the society where they operate. I demand to know that. Mr. Chairman, I want to also commend you on page 28, this award and recognition. People also take interest in the company, in what they are doing. And the company have done well, any corporate body have done well. People recognize, society recognize them in one way or the other. I want to commend the MD and his workforce for this recognition among Nigerians, corporate, the award you have been given here. That means you are doing very well. and continue to do well, more laurels will come your way if you perform very well. People will remember you and give you such an award. It's not misplaced. You have worked for it. And we're seeing what you are doing. Mr. Chairman, I also have to worry here on the audit fee payable. Mr. Chairman, I'm so worried. If I don't know, let me go on page. I've read it. And our auditors, we must exercise restraint by auditors. If you are proposing a fee to payable with auditors, that must also audit committee member that represent shareholders must also have input in what they are being paid, so that we don't come here to complain much of audit fee payable to our auditors, even though I recognize they are doing very well. But that not to say they should take all the money away from the company. Yes, billion fund. Mr. Chairman, increase should be done. Look at what I'm saying on page 154 of this account, audit fee. Mr. Chairman, from 309, I'm talking of the company now, to 559 million. Mr. Chairman, there must be moderate. You look at other professional fees, they also gone haywire, Mr. Chairman. Other professional fees, they have gone haywire because SEC would recommend their friends and partners. They create all these things, you know, board, what they call it, appraiser. They will tell you appoint so-so, appoint so-so. That is not, you know. And they also slamming you their own penalty, their own fees being increased. And we're just portion fee to pay. Mr. Chairman, look at what you have done here. Stamp duties, regulatory. You see what you pay, regulatory fees. That's on page 155. It's huge, Mr. Chairman. Are we working for the regulators? Are we working for them? I mean, all these things, they should have to listen to us. These regulators are killing industries. Mr. Chairman, today, diesel, a liter is about 700. Even if the MTN does not own all the marks that have been provided across the board, but they are paying the service provider to all these things. They will bill on the diesel. They are maintaining their generators, empowering generators. Access road, government doesn't create. We are talking about 3.5 trillion you pay to government. Within the last 20 years, government collected. What has government provided for us to run our business, easy of doing business? They will only tell us easy of doing business in Nigeria. All this story. It has nothing. Rather, you have to cough everything, even your urine. Government will collect it. Government will collect it. And they are doing nothing to the population. Mr. Chairman, on a serious note, this country is in problem. The way these regulators are going about, they were also going to cripple activities. But I thank God today the MTN are creating jobs for the youth who graduated, who government cannot give that job. But they should give us a tax holiday. Mr. MD, time have come, we will apply to tax holidays. So that this dividend after tax, 10%, they will take it. And they are collecting direct for the company. They will collect every individuals. Mr. Chairman, tax is killing in this country. And if a company is doing very well to the community, to the government, they should also give us a way of tax holiday to complement what we're doing. So that year, you have a breathing space to do other things. That's the way to go. Mr. Chairman, I don't know where we go from here. In fact, what you have done today, billions of billions, you have done so well. Without any government input. Your own hard work. I came here as early as possible. Chairman met me here, early bed. And I saw staff. They are always here early, as if they slept here, doing for a work for us to have a better dividend share. At the end of the day, somebody that's sitting in Abuja, in a roving chair, going, in their conditions, by collecting the money from us who have done nothing. That is not the way to go. No company survive in that way, Mr. Chairman. We're here to encourage you not to look at what government is doing, not on agencies which are regulators. We want to encourage you, the management, the company, to have faith in Nigerians who are patronizing you, and to work more hard to give us more dividend come next year. Because what the result posted today should be able to trigger off our share price to 100,000 naira as a share price, which your competitor is also traded at the same floor. And they're not doing what you're doing. And that's what I'm saying, the brokers, whatever who is trading, our share have been undervalued. We can't accept it any longer. MTN have done very well. In the society, in every organization set up, MTN have done very well. That our price should be up there, not 200 naira is trading. We can accept it. Mr. Chairman, I don't have more to say. Rather than we're hoping and believing that come next year, our dividend should be higher than what you pay this year. God willing, you must agree with me. Chairman, let me also console you over the death of your mother. Take heart. But I thank God that at your age, your mother died. There's nothing to cry about. May the good Lord accept her soul. In Jesus' name, amen.
I think Mr. Okeze has spoken for all the shareholders. Is there anybody else that want to say anything? Okay. Thank you very much, Boniface, for that comprehensive question process. I'm assuming there is no other person that would like to ask any question. And I'd like to invite the CEO to respond to the questions put forward by Okeze. CEO.
Thank you, Chairman. And Mr. Boniface Okeze, National Chairman of the Progressive Shareholders Association of Nigeria. Always a pleasure to have you here. Always look forward to your questions. And they're interesting and challenging in every instance, and it's part of the process of an AGM to be challenged. So we thank you for this. We've taken note of your comments on holding the meetings in these premises and the efficiency that this gives. We'll continue to do so as long as it fulfills the purposes that we strive to achieve. We also want to express our sincere appreciation, I think your words were applause for the workforce in delivering these results. And truly it is a team effort, not just the employee workforce, but the governance, the board, the various shareholders, and our external parties, be they bankers, lawyers, etc. So sincere appreciation to all of them for really producing these results. You spoke to the public offer. First, I want to once again recognize a very special gentleman, but all of our board directors are special, and that's Mr. Freddie Mulman. It's a real pleasure to see him in Nigeria once again. My immediate predecessor who handed over this fantastic institution to me with extremely strong governance and the process of the listing already well in flow. So a lot of credit has to go to him. I do appreciate the comments that you've spoken about our share price. We think there's still a lot of hidden value inside MTN Nigeria, and that will come obvious. We had a very successful public offer, 139% oversubscribed, and I'd like to give some highlights. Aside from having 120,000 new retail shareholders, effectively through other investment funds and instruments such as pension funds, we think we have approximately 6 million indirect shareholders that have an interest in MTN Nigeria as a consequence. And we're also very proud of the fact that 78% of the new shareholders were women and approximately 80% people under 40. And it was the first digital offer, and I strongly suspect, and I speak under the guidance of our regulators of the stock, of the Capital Markets, Securities Exchange Commission, I strongly suspect that there will be no more paper offer in Nigeria going forward. If you look at the price at which we listed, including the discount, approximately 162 naira, and I recognize that that was a limited quantity of shares versus the price we are today, somewhere between 212 and 214 naira, plus the dividend which we, with the approval, will be paying out. I think we've seen significant appreciation, value creation for shareholders in this business. And we do believe, as you said, that there's more value to be created, but as there's more liquidity in the stock through what we announced, which is a process of a three-phase sell down of MTN Group's holding, we think that that liquidity will really help show the true value of the stock. So I hope I've addressed that point. On CSR, you're right, Mr. Boniface, 1% of our profit after tax goes to our CSR initiatives, and that is governed by our independent foundation with a very strong and seasoned and diverse board of directors. I speak under their guidance because, as I said, it's independent, but I do know that we take very careful steps to ensure that the distribution of these initiatives, which are focused on health, education, and empowerment, goes across as many communities as possible, as many diverse groups as possible, and as many local government areas as possible, so it's not concentrated in any single place. And we take conscious effort to do that continuously. I'm sure the Investor Relations will be pleased to provide you further information on how this is managed. But the truth is, our needs in Nigeria, as human needs, are limitless. So we will never be able to fulfill every single location for a borehole or school refurbishment or health projects. But we really have had a tremendous impact on probably 30 million Nigerians' lives through the foundation. And we are very proud of that, and we'll continue to do so with very strong governance around it. Thank you for the recognition, for the commendation on the recognition, the rewards. We continue to strive, but the most important recognition is from the shareholders and from the regulators. But we appreciate all the recognition that has been given by various teams, by various parties to staff. On audit fees, this is recommended, approved, and I assure you, with a lot of scrutiny by the Audit Committee and the Statutory Audit Committee, and they continue to do so on an ongoing basis. We are a large business. It's complex. It's growing increasingly more complex with new technologies that are coming to bear. And the professional fees, we also manage this effectively. The end result of all of this is the profit after tax, but with a changing regulatory environment, laws, tax laws, things like when we approach the 5G spectrum, we need to, in many instances where we don't have all the competence in-house, engage external parties to help us advise in all of those aspects. On taxes, taking note of your comments, we do try and manage our effective tax rate, but we comply fully with the statutes of the country. We are very clear on this. We pay all taxes as due and as defined by the statutes and the laws of the country. And of course, as a corporate, we try and create an enabling environment where there's a balance between the tax and the contribution to the federal government coffers and the society at large, and our ability to invest in evolution of technologies, new business cases, etc., and create jobs, but we comply in every instance. Finally, just to say, say thank you once again, and maybe put front and center one thing that we're very passionate about, and you've spoken to it in many ways. We're very passionate about shared value. It is a key pillar of our Ambition 2025 strategy. We know that we cannot prosper as an island in the operating environments in which we function. So shared value, one part of that is taxes, another part of that is job creation. The foundation is a critical pillar of that. Our suppliers, our vendors, our staff, job creation are all parts of that. And we know that to grow and prosper on a long-term and sustainable basis, we must have shared values as a priority. So we are happy to pay the taxes within the statutes and laws of the country. Thank you very much, Mr. Boniface.
Thank you very much for your questions and the CEO for the responses. It is now time to vote. As I stated before, voting on items on the agenda, except item 6, will be by poll. Of course, item 6 is with respect to election of statutory audit committee. And I'd like to request that the meeting should permit that this be done after the special business because of the fact that there is a poll that will be taken at that time. I don't know if it's acceptable. Election of statutory audit committee. Is there anybody? I think it's neater to do it after the.
Let's go this thing by item. What we are doing is to division of the result is already there. We are there the report. We're just going to dividend now.
Boniface, don't read anything. Just make your point. Sit down. Thank you very much. You've made your point. You made your point. Thank you. I will now invite the registrar to explain the e-voting process. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will proceed to explain the voting procedure that will be used in casting our votes. Using the devices provided, please note that we have captured the voting details for 520 shareholders, which we received by proxy, and holding 16,729,951,476 units of MTN Nigeria Communications PLC shares, which represents 82.1928% of the issued share capital. In addition to these proxies which we have received, we will be capturing the votes of shareholders physically present at this meeting to arrive at the final results. We have all been assigned a voting device that we have configured to represent your shareholding in MTN Nigerian Communications PLC. On your voting pads, you will have the button 1A, and that button is for a yes vote. You will also have a button 2/B, that's for a no vote, and a button 3/C, which is for an abstain vote. Once the voting commences, please press the reference button in accordance with your decision or choice, and note that each shareholder can change their votes during the period, but once the voting period has ended, the last button you pressed will be recorded as your vote. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. A minute, please. Yes, we are.
I hereby move that the annual financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2021 together with the reports of the directors, auditors, and audit committee, as laid before members at this annual general meeting, be received and adopted. Would someone please second the motion? Thank you very much. We will now vote for the resolution.
We shall commence the voting on this resolution. Now, the voting on the first resolution as hereby commenced. We request that you kindly press your various and respective devices. Kindly proceed to press your various devices. We have 10 seconds for this process. 5, 4 seconds to go. Please use your various devices. Can you press on the button 1/A for a yes vote, 2/B for a no vote, and 3/C where you want to abstain. We have 2 seconds to go. The voting is hereby concluded. Thank you. Okay, thank you. The result is hereby displayed, and we have 536 shareholders holding 16,742,788,609 shares and representing 100%. We have 3 shareholders holding 10,199 shares representing 0.001%. And then you have 5 shareholders who have abstained with 230 shares representing 0.0001%. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now vote on the resolution. Okay, we've finished the voting. I hereby declare the motion has been carried. We go to item 2 on the agenda to declare a dividend. I hereby move that a dividend payment in the total sum of 174.53 billion, which translates to 8.57 naira per 2 kobo ordinary share to shareholders whose names appear in the company register of members at the close of business on Wednesday, April 6, 2022, bringing the total dividend for the year ended 31st December 2021 to 13 naira 12 kobo, subject to withholding tax, be and is hereby approved. Would someone please second the motion? I can see a lady at the back.
I, Josephine Witat, hereby support the resolution to declare dividend as stated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now vote on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The voting can now commence. We would request that you kindly press your various devices in accordance with your voting choice on this resolution. Thank you. We have 5 seconds to go. 3 seconds. The voting can now close. Thank you. We can close the vote.
Why is this coming here?
Okay, thank you. And the result is hereby displayed. We have 542 shareholders holding 16,742,779,778 shares and representing 100%. You have 2 shareholders who have voted against, holding 140 shares and representing 0.0001%. And then you have 1 shareholder who has abstained, holding 120 shares and representing 0.0001%. Thank you.
I hereby declare that the motion has been carried. At this point, I wish to invite Mr. Lawrence Amadi, partner KPMG Advisory Services, to read the report of the independent consultants on the board on the appraisals for the year ended 31st December 2021, which can be found on page 109 of the annual report. Mr. Amadi, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Shareholders present and standing on existing protocol. In compliance with the guidelines of Section 5.1, subsection C of the Nigerian Communications Commission NCC Code of Corporate Governance for Telecommunications Industry, which I would subsequently refer to as the NCC Code, and Section 14.1 of the Nigeria Code of Corporate Governance 2018 NCCG, MTN Nigeria Communications PLC, subsequently referred to as MTN Nigeria, engaged KPMG Advisory Services to carry out an appraisal and corporate governance evaluation of the board of directors, which I'll subsequently call the board, for the year ended 31 December 2021. The codes recommend the board of directors to carry out a formal and rigorous evaluation of its own performance, that of its committees, the chairman, and individual directors, as well as an annual corporate governance evaluation to ascertain the extent of application of the codes of corporate governance. We have performed the procedures agreed with MTN Nigeria in respect of the appraisal of the board and evaluation of its compliance with corporate governance requirements in accordance with the provisions of the NCC Code, the NCCG, and the Securities and Exchange Commission's Corporate Governance Guideline. These procedures, which are limited in scope but sufficient for the board's objectives in line with the codes, are different in scope from an external audit. Consequently, no opinion is expressed by us on the activities reported upon. Our approach to the appraisal of the board and evaluation of the board's corporate governance practices involved a review of the company's board papers and minutes, key corporate governance structures, policies, and practices. This included the review of the corporate governance framework and representations obtained from questionnaires, interviews with members of the board, and senior management. On the basis of our review, the company's corporate governance practices are in compliance with the key provisions of the Code of Corporate Governance mentioned above. Specific recommendations for future improving the company's corporate governance practices are included in our detailed report to the board. These include recommendations on succession planning, delegation of authority, and the establishment of ad hoc committees of the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Madi. The next item on the agenda is to re-elect directors. That is, the re-election of the retiring directors offering themselves for re-election. 5 directors are retiring at this meeting in accordance with the Articles of Association and being eligible, they have offered themselves for re-election. They are Mr. Muhammad K. Ahmad, Mr. Andrew Ali, Mr. Michael Ajuku, Dr. Omobola Johnson, and Mr. Abubakar Mahmoud Esayan. The first director presented for re-election is Mr. M.K. Ahmad. I hereby move that Mr. M.K. Ahmad be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. Would someone please second the motion? Hassan? Thank you very much. We will now vote on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The voting process is now opened, and we would request that you kindly press your respective keypads in accordance with your voting option. We would have 10 seconds to conduct this vote. 8 seconds to go. 6, 4, 2. The voting will now close. Thank you. Please wait while the results are displayed. Okay, so we have 490 shareholders and holding 16,701,872,566 shares, representing 99.75%. We have 28 shareholders who have voted against this resolution and holding 41,006,666 shares and representing 0.24%. And we have 28 shareholders holding 14,029 shares and representing 0.0001%. Thank you.
I hereby declare that Mr. M.K. Ahmad is duly re-elected. The second director presented for re-election is Mr. Andrew Ali. I hereby move that Mr. Andrew Ali be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. Would someone please second the motion? Thank you very much. We will now vote on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Please, we request that you kindly press your respective keypads in accordance with your voting decision. We have 8 seconds to go. 6, 4, 2. The voting can now close. Thank you. And the result is hereby displayed. We have 487 shareholders holding 16,689,724,559 shares and representing 99.68%. We have 32 shareholders who have voted against and holding 53,154,920 shares and representing 0.32%. And we have 27 shareholders who have abstained from this vote, holding 13,779 shares and representing 0.001%. Thank you.
I hereby declare that Mr. Andrew Ali is duly re-elected. The third director presented for re-election is Mr. Michael Ajuku. I hereby move that Mr. Michael Ajuku be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. Would someone please second the motion?
Chairman, my name is Nona Awu. I do second. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now vote on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We would request that we press our various devices as we open the vote. We have 9 seconds to go. 7 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the voting can now close. Thank you. And the result is hereby displayed. We have 486 shareholders voting in favor and holding 16,689,723,059 shares, representing 99.68%. We have 33 shareholders who have voted against the resolution and holding 53,156,420 shares and representing 0.32%. And we have 27 shareholders holding 13,779 shares, representing 0.001%, who have abstained from this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hereby declare that Mr. Michael Ajuku is duly re-elected. The fourth director presented for re-election is Dr. Mobola Johnson. I hereby move that Dr. Mobola Johnson be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. Would someone please second the motion? Thank you very much. We will now vote on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The voting process has now been opened, and we request that you kindly press your keypads in line with your voting options. We have 8 seconds to go. 5, 3, 2, 1, and the voting can now close or end. Thank you. The results are hereby displayed, and we have 487 shareholders who have voted in favor of the resolution and holding 16,689,726,809 shares and representing 99.68%. We have 31 shareholders who have voted against this resolution and holding 53,152,420 shares and representing 0.32%. And we have 28 shareholders who have abstained from this resolution and holding 14,029 shares, representing 0.0001%. Thank you.
I hereby declare that Dr. Omobola Johnson is duly re-elected. The 5th director presented for re-election is Mr. Abubakar Mahmood, SAN. I hereby move that Mr. Abubakar Mahmood be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. Would someone please move or second the motion, please? Cornell? Oh, okay, sorry. Somebody has...
For reappointment of Dr.
Thank you very much. We will now vote on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The voting process has now been opened. We request that you kindly press your respective devices in line with your voting options. We have 10 seconds for this process, and we have taken 5, 4, 2, and the voting can now end. Thank you. The result is hereby displayed, and we have 486 shareholders who have voted in favor of this resolution and holding 16,689,724,309 shares and representing 99.68%. And we have 32 shareholders who have voted against this resolution and holding 53,154,920 shares, representing 0.32%. And we have 28 shareholders who have abstained from this resolution and holding 14,029 shares, representing 0.0001%. Thank you.
I hereby declare that Mr. Abubakar Mahmood is duly re-elected. Thank you, esteemed shareholders, for approving the re-election of the retiring directors. The next item on the agenda is to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors, Messrs. Ernst & Young, who have indicated their willingness to continue in office. CAMA requires that their remuneration be fixed by the company in general meeting or in such a manner as the company in general meeting may determine. I hereby move that the directors be and are hereby authorized to fix the remuneration of the auditors for the year ending December 31, 2022. Would someone please second the motion? Just second the motion. Thank you for seconding the motion.
No. Chairman, I will second the motion. They are my friend, but the caveat that no further increase. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, Zia Boniface.
It's not part of the resolution here. So we thank you for seconding the motion. We will now vote for the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The voting process can now commence. We request that we kindly press our respective devices in line with our voting options. We would use 10 seconds for this process, and we have 8 seconds to go, 5 seconds to go, 3, 2, 1. The voting can now end. Thank you. We have 515 shareholders who have voted in favor of this resolution and holding 16,742,851,051 shares, representing 100%. And we have 12 shareholders who have voted against this resolution and holding 17,250 shares, representing 0.0001%. And we have 19 shareholders who have abstained from this resolution and holding 24,957 shares and representing 0.0001%. Thank you.
I hereby declare that the motion has been carried. The next item on the agenda is to disclose the remuneration of managers of the company. By Section 238 of CAMA, every company shall at each annual general meeting disclose the remuneration of the managers of the company. The disclosure on the compensation of the managers of the company is contained on page 182 of the annual report. The directors hereby disclose that the remuneration of the managers of the business for 2021 financial year was 4.479 billion naira. There is no resolution required for this. The next item on the agenda is to, I had requested that this election of statutory audit committee be moved after the special business, and I think Boniface has also agreed to that. He has changed his mind, yeah. So we now go to the special business. The special business is to consider and, if thought fit, to pass the following as an ordinary resolution of the company: that a general mandate be given to the company to enter into recurrent transactions with related parties for the company's day-to-day operations including the procurement of goods and services on normal commercial terms in compliance with the Nigerian Exchange Limited rules governing transactions with related parties or interested parties or interested persons. I hereby move that a general mandate be given to the company to enter into recurrent transactions with related parties for the company's daily operations, including the procurement of goods and services on normal commercial terms in compliance with the Nigerian Exchange Limited rules governing transactions and with related parties or interested persons. Would someone please second the motion? Yeah, please, Colonel.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Colonel Ayegbeni Peters, retired. I hereby second the motion.
Thank you. We will now vote on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The voting process will now commence and would request that we kindly use our respective devices in line with our voting options. We will have 10 seconds for this process, and we are 8 seconds gone, 6 seconds gone, 4, 3, 2, 1. The voting session can now end. Thank you. Please be patient while we get the results. The results are hereby displayed, and we have 520 shareholders holding 16,719,795,412 shares, representing 99.86%, who have all voted in favor. We have 5 shareholders who have voted against this resolution and holding 10,944,507 shares and representing 0.07%. And we have 21 shareholders who have abstained from voting on this resolution and holding 12,153,339 shares and representing 0.07%. Thank you.
I hereby declare that the motion has been carried. Thank you very much. That concludes the special business, and we'll now revert to the item with respect to electing members of the Statutory Audit Committee. In accordance with Section 404, subsection 3 of CAMA, the Audit Committee shall consist of 5 members comprising 3 shareholders and 2 non-executive directors. Consequently, the Board of Directors has nominated the following directors as members of the Statutory Audit Committee. They are Mr. Ridwan Gesan and Mrs. Ifueko Omoigwe Okaru. Also, 22 valid nominations were received by the company secretary from shareholders. 7 of them have withdrawn their candidacy, The remaining shareholder nominees for election as members of the Audit Committee are as to be read by the registrars. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would read out the names of the nominees and their nominator. Please, where the nominees are here, I would request that you come out so that we can cast the votes. We have Mr. Ajani Musa Adekola, nominated by Salauddin Wasiu Adewale. We have Mr. Oye Hassan Odukale, nominated by Olubukonla Ajibike Osho. We have Mr. Nona Awo, nominated by Palliser Capital Markets. We have, please, thank you. We have Colonel Ayegbani Peters, nominated by Aderemi Durojaye. We have Mr. Ibi Yemi Oluwole Kolawole, nominated by Olaleye Abdullahi Akombi. We have Adeshino Olalekan Oladepo, nominated by Abubakar Aliyu Akono. We have Adeleye Fumilola Bilkis, nominated by Okwejiri Afiz Bamidele. We have Oguntoye Oluwatoye Lawrence, nominated by Ajose Tunde Idris. We have Adelakun Lukman Adeshola, nominated by Kujenya Olayiwola Yusuf. We have Olatunji Eniola Afiz, nominated by Olayiwola Ademola. We have Ajayi Olatunde Adewi, nominated by Kayode Emmanuel. We have Adebayo Oluwafemi, nominated by Olukoya Williams Abayomi. We have Chief Akinsoya Adeolu, nominated by Akinade Taufik Ademuiwa. We have Aladi Obianoju Pauline, nominated by Oyedakbo Julius Abiodun. And we have Adetomiwa Olayiwola Adetunji, nominated by Onwuzurike Chinwe Winifred. Okay, so I will be calling out on the names one by one and will request that we cast our votes. We'll count the votes that have been cast and we'll move on to the next. Thank you.
Go sit down now. Go sit down. Go sit down. Go sit down. Sit.
Boniface, are you handling the meeting?
Sir, this one
just say what
us,
you have to say.
This one concerns us, sir. This one concerns us, sir.
Alternative chairman.
This one concerns us.
Boniface, you can't say that, please. Just.
Yes.
But I agree they should sit down.
Yeah,
please.
they should sit down.
I agree.
You know. Mr. Chairman, you can see a lot of names being rolled out now. They are not here. But the law says whether they are in or not, we must vote them. Exactly. And that's why election must go on.
Yes.
But if there's, three of them now, we'll just pass the resolution and take them on as, as constituted. But since we have nomination valid, attested by the registrars, election have to go on. And that's one. We can only vote by 3 times. We can't vote more than that. That's my submission. We can't vote more than 3 times. Even if there are 100, it's 3 times. We can't vote more than that.
Thank you, sir. Okay, please, as I call your name, it would be nice to just stand up, have the votes casted, and then you sit. Thank you. Please, Mr. Ajani Musa Adekola, all those voting in favor of Mr. Ajani Musa Adekola, can we have your hands up? Okay, thank you. We have Mr. Oye Hassan Odukale. Please, thank you. Can we count the votes? Please, can you face them? They want to see your face. Please, can you count the votes for Mr. Oye Hassan Odukale? Please still keep your hands up. We're counting. We're counting. We have hands up on the high table, please. Are we done? Thank you. Hands down. Thank you very much. All those in favor of Mr. Nona Awo, can you raise your hands? Thank you. There are some hands on the high table as well. Thank you. Thank you, sir. You may have your seat. Thank you. All those in favor of Colonel Ayegbeni Peters, please, can you raise your hand? Thank you. Please, let's count. Are we done? Thank you. You may have your seat, sir. All those in favor of Ibi Yemi Oluwole Kolawole, please raise your hands. All those in favor of Adeshino Olalekon Oladepo, please raise your hands. All those in favor of Adeleye Fumilola Bilkis, please raise your hands. All those in favor of Oguntoye Oluwatoye Lawrence, can we see your hands? All those in favor of Adelakun Lukman Adeshola, can we see your hands? All those in favor of Olatunji Eniola Afiz, can we see your hands? All those in favor of Ajayi Olatunde Adewuyi. All those in favor of Adebayo Oluwafemi Abayomi. All those in favor of Chief Akisoya Adeolu. Those in favor of Aladi Obianuju Pauline. And those in favor of Adetomiwa Olayiwola Adetunji. With this, we've come to the end of the votes for the Audit Committee. Please remain patient while we come up with the result. Thank you.
I tried not to drink water.
So we have conducted and we have counted the votes, and for Mr. Ajani Musa Adekola, we recorded 1 vote. For Mr. Oye Hassan Udukale, we recorded 57 votes. For Mr. Nona Awo, we recorded 68 votes. For Colonel Ayegbeni Peters, we recorded 67 votes. Ibiyemi Oluwole, we recorded a nil vote. For Adeshino Olalekon Oladepo, we recorded a nil vote. For Adeyeye Fumilola Bilkis, we recorded a nil vote. For Oguntoye Oluwatoye, we recorded a nil vote. For Adelakun Lukman Adeshola, we recorded a nil vote. For Olatunji Eniola Afiz, we recorded a nil vote. For Ajayi Olatunde Adewuyi, we recorded a nil vote. For Adebayo Oluwafemi Abayomi, we recorded a nil vote. For Chief Akisoya Adeolu, we recorded a nil vote. For Aladi Obianuju Pauline, we recorded a nil vote. And for Adetomiwa Olaiwola, we recorded a nil vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bukola, for that great job. I hereby declare that the following are members of the Audit Committee of the company: Mr. Ridwan Gesant, Mrs. Ifweko Omogui Okauru, Mr. Oye Hassan Odukale, Mr. Nona Awo, and Colonel Ayegbeni Peters. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the business of this meeting. Thank you all for attending the meeting and for showing so much interest in the affairs of your company. Once again, I express my thanks to all persons who were able to attend this meeting. I also wish to express my gratitude to all the shareholders and other stakeholders who joined the meeting virtually. I wish you all a safe journey back to your respective destinations and pray that we continue all to stay safe and in good health in these trying times. Thank you. It is my pleasure as I now declare the meeting closed. May I request Mr. Oladayo to give us the closing prayers.
We thank God for this meeting. We started this meeting with happiness and we end the meeting with happiness. We pray for our company. By next year, we should grow more than this. We pray for our directors, the chairman, company secretary, the MD, and everybody here in the company. They should have a long life. Amen. We pray for all the shareholders. No one of us that comes here when going home should have an accident. I also be like Bismillah Rahman Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin Rahman Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim siratal ladzina an'amta alaihim ghayril maghdubi alaihim waladdallin. Amen.
Thank you very much. Shall we rise for the national anthem?